Welcome to another edition of Tremendous Job Interview Questions, Strong Advice for Hiring Managers. I'm Jim Roddy, President of Jameson Publishing and author of the book, Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer. Today's tremendous interview question is the shortest, but the best. Just one word: why? I've made some notes on the whiteboard here behind me that I'd like to share with you. So the first point is, why would you ask why? What's the purpose of an interviewer asking the question why? I think you should ask why continuously throughout the interview process to make sure you understand two things, get a full understanding of them. One, what was the purpose behind a candidate's action during their previous or current employment experiences? And then, what's behind their thinking? A lot of times what managers do is they get some data and then they fill in the blanks with erroneous information. They make false assumptions. Quick example. You ask somebody about how they dealt with a coworker and they said, well, I sat them down, I had a hard conversation with them. And you might fill in the blanks and say, oh, they wanted to help them out. Well, if you ask them, why did you do that? They might reveal to you, well, so-and-so and I have never gotten along, and so when I confront them face-to-face, they tend to really cower and they back down. So that was my way of getting what I wanted. I've had candidates reveal things similar to that, but only if you ask the question why. Second thing, when you ask the question why, you'll occasionally uncover new subjects. So I'll give you an example that I had. We had a candidate who came in for an interview and we said, well, why do you want to leave your current employer? And they said, because they're unfair. Why do you think they're unfair? Well, they're accusing me of things and I don't think that's right. Well, what kind of things did they accuse you of? I was in a meeting, I got angry, I got up and I slammed the door, and they accused me of breaking the glass in the door. Well, why would they say that? Well, because I slammed it so hard that the glass actually cracked. But they don't understand it was them who forced me into that position. So again, we could have very much left it as, ooh, so-and-so has an unfair employer. But once we asked why, we started getting an understanding of how this person behaved, conflicts with management, products with supervision, not being completely forthright and candid with us. So again, if you ask the question why, you'll uncover new subjects on occasion. Last point I wanted to make is sharing the technique of the rolling why, and I've made a few points here in terms of 4 tips for executing what's called the rolling why, and I expand upon a little bit more in my book. So the first point is, when you're asking the question why to a candidate, make sure you don't sound like a broken record. They give an answer. You say, why? They give another answer. Why? They give another answer. Why? The candidate's going to say, all right, are you just a robot? Are you just a recording? You want to make sure that you have it conversational. And that ties in with my second point. You want to make sure that you ask why. If you don't fully understand something, you can ask it directly, or you can rephrase it in a direct question. So here's an example. Could you help me understand the reason you did that? That's getting to the why of it without just saying why. Another example. Why is that important to you? Or why do you think that approach worked? Again, try to make it more conversational so the candidate feels that it's not an interrogation, you're just having a business-related conversation. Okay, the third or fourth tips for executing the rolling why. Make sure your questions are connected to an outcome. It's not, hey, there's a gap, there's some silence, I'm just going to ask the question why. It's going to seem nonsensical and non-purposeful. You want to make sure you're really engaged in the conversation and digging into, am I fully understanding the situation? If you've asked why and you've gotten enough information, maybe you do. Don't just keep asking why just to keep hammering home the point. But don't skip over it. Make sure you're connecting it to the outcome of fully understanding the situation. And the fourth point that I want to make, the fourth tip for executing the rolling why is integrate why when developing your line of questions. Make sure you remember to do that. A lot of times managers will develop their list of 10, 15, 20, 30 questions that they'd like to ask during an interview, and they go through that, but they never ask the question why. It's good to remind yourself, put it right on the paper, that you want to remind yourself to ask the candidate the question why. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. And that's just one of 258 questions from my book, Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer. For more information or for more tremendous interview questions, you can visit the website at www.hirelikeyouJustBeatCancer.com. Thank you for watching and happy hiring.